Hey everyone, it's Elliot here, and in this video I want to talk about a very big news topic that came up in the film industry this week, and about the certain questions that this has raised for me, and that I've been pondering all week since I heard this news. It was reported that Jack Nicholson is coming out of retirement after not being in a film for about 6 or 7 years. And this would normally be great news for me because I love Jack Nicholson. He's really eccentric and he has such great presence on screen. But this also came attached to the other news that the reason he's coming back is for a remake of the latest film from Maren Ardai, Toni Erdmann, which is a German film, a really dark comedy, but it's being brought to Hollywood, and this has just left a sour taste in my mouth. The reason I don't like this news is that Hollywood has such a bad track record with bringing films from the world cinema scene to Hollywood and bringing them to the English language, and there's only been a few odd exceptions to this track record. Now I have a few examples of this written down right here, so I'm going to go through some of these and just show you how badly this has worked out in the past. In 1983, there was a remake of Jean-Luc Godard's seminal film Breathless, starring Richard Gere, and it was just a total failure because it missed the point of the original film and why that film is so important in the cinematic canon. Another prime example of this is Godzilla, and there hasn't been a good Godzilla English language film in my opinion. And I think that's just because they missed the point again. It doesn't capture that spirit and essence of the original Japanese Godzilla film. Sticking to the theme of Japan, there are swathes of Japanese horror films that have been transported to America and just haven't worked anywhere near as well as the originals. Examples of this are Dark Water, The Ring and The Grudge. There's the now classic South Korean film Oldboy, a film I love dearly, and that was a monumental failure when it was adapted by Spike Lee in 2013. It was just rubbish. If we look at some films out of Spain, there was Vanilla Sky, which was a remake of Open Your Eyes, and both of them starred Penelope Cruz, but the remake was just nowhere near as good as the original. And then there was The Secret in Their Eyes, which came out last year, and that was a remake of a film of the same name, and that remake was awful as well. Lastly, I'll look at some remakes of some Swedish films. There was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which actually was alright because it had a capable director in David Fincher, but it missed the mark that the original trilogy had, and they obviously didn't carry on the trilogy in America because it just wasn't successful. Then there was Let the Right One In, which is such a great horror film that I think everyone should go and see if you're a fan of horror. The remake of that, I've forgotten the name of that, I think it was slightly different in America, but that wasn't very good, and it just left me sad after watching that. Now obviously this rant is against remakes of world cinema, and I clearly don't approve of them, but what I do condone is adaptations of these films fueled with the vision of a certain director or writer to take it in a new direction. A recent example that I think nailed this was Martin Scorsese's The Departed, which is an adaptation of Infernal Affairs, and this worked perfectly for me because it was distinctly different enough from the original and it brought lots new to the table, and it was just a great film. Scorsese is someone I admire a lot, and he clearly knows that it wouldn't be right to do that if it was just done for monetary value, so he clearly knew what he was doing with that film. Don't get me wrong, I'm not naive, and I know that all films need to make money on some level, but all of these remakes were made purely for financial gain, and you can tell because they've lost the spirit of the original ideas of all of these stories. That's the key thing as well. When I think about all of these films, they are stories, but the remakes are stories where the context is different, and that can alter a story. If we lived in an ideal world where it was just purely for the art and not for the money with films, it would be so much better if these American companies would just push the distribution of these foreign films in America and in England and in English-speaking countries. Just get more people watching the original films than remaking these in the English language. Going back to what raised this whole idea in my head, Toni Erdmann is a fantastic film that, like I said, is getting rave reviews all around the world and is winning awards everywhere, and it would just be so much better if instead of spending all this money to remake that film, just put that money and boost the distribution of the film in America and just get more people to watch it. Clearly these remakes do make money because they just keep getting produced, and it's going to carry on happening forever probably. So it's unavoidable, but one thing I would at least ask of you is that if you go to see one of these films that is a remake of a world cinema film, go and see the original either before or after you've seen the remake, just to appreciate where it's come from and what it could have been if the original is much better, which I think is often the case. That's my thoughts on the whole subject, but I want to know what you think about it. Please let me know in the comments below, because I want to know, do you think remakes are a good thing or a bad thing? As always, thank you very much for watching my videos on film. I hope you've been enjoying them, and if you have, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you hear about the videos as soon as I upload them. I shall be back with more videos very soon, but until then, have a good time watching films, everyone.